Well, President Bola Tinubu returned to Lagos after his tour of two European countries, France and England. One was official and the other was personal. In France, Mr. President attempted to sell the image of a renewed nation that has rededicated its life to capitalism. Now, what remains is what follows. How soon will the much needed foreign direct investments start rolling in? Perhaps a proof of the president's success in Paris will best find expression in how quickly big global businesses begin again to knock on our doors as their destination of choice for trade and investment. Well, Mr. President did make a brief personal stop in London, which the APC insisted had nothing to do with his health. Well, let's come back to Nigeria now. Back in Nigeria, the president made his first stop in Lagos in a remarkable homecoming since after becoming president. Now that the holidays are over, what should Nigerians be looking forward to? For many political pundits, the first item is the transmission of the cabinet's nominee, the nominees for the Senate for screening. A review of the security situation in the country with killings ongoing in Plateau and other parts of the north. And third, the situation with the economy and cries of Nigerians about the unbearable rising cost of living in the country. Now, these are questions. These are the things before the president. Well, I do have my guest with me, virtually, of course. Guest this morning, we have barrister or legal practitioner. He prefers to be called just legal practitioner, Olayinka Ola Daniels. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Good morning, viewers.
Good to have you. Good to have you on the show. But we also have Dr. Hassan Sadiq, a security expert. Good morning to you too, Doctor.
Yeah, I'm having a problem with your audio.
All right, we'll
Yes.
we'll get that one fixed. We'll get that one fixed. But I can hear you. In the meantime, let me stay with you, Barrister Olayinka Ola Daniels. Now, yesterday the president was on. Yesterday made it one whole month since assuming office. How would you assess the president so far?
Well, so far we can all see that Mr. President came in. He promised Nigeria that work will start immediately. We can all see what has happened in 1 month. The appointments, some directives, some policies being put in place, and we can see under a mountain, this has been done. That is to give us a clue of what is expected of this particular administration. I see a better days. I see a better days come from this administration. If assessing it by the event we have witnessed in 1 month, I see a better day coming. And I think I will give a kudos to the administration. I will give a kudos to Mr. President for springing into action and not delaying any further, as promised by him during the campaign. Remember, some of these things were said during the campaign, and if you compare it to, the last administration, even the first time and the fourth time, we all witnessed what happened, where some people took 6 months to even, give us
The ministers,
make some appointments, and while some of us were even hoping to see a new dawn, a new things. So even with the 6 months, we know what we saw. And so I want to believe that from what we have seen so far, under a month, it is a different ballgame entirely, and we expect a better day.
All right, now, so do you think what the former president signed, ensuring that a new administration sets up the cabinet within 60 days. Do you think that that is part of why the president hit the ground running and is doing everything needed to ensure that he does not flout that law? Do you think it has anything to do with that?
Don't forget that this is a new administration. And also we must take cognizance of the fact that governance, well, ought to be continuity. Because it's this part of the world that a new administration comes in and you see things changing, they scatter things, and this one has his own agenda, maybe 2020 something agenda, 7 something point agenda and all that, and another administration comes in and he wants to do its own. But for some of us, we believe that governance should be continuity, and you should pick up from wherever the administration stops, to fix things further. And maybe I'll give that kudos to this current administration, continue from where the last one stopped, as to some of bills that were passed, some of directives that were made, some of policies that were put in place even before he came in. So we must to him, Mr. President, and going through that route, because another president may come in to say, no, these are not my agenda, these are not the policies I want to work with, these are not the promises I made. But if you also remember, some of the promises also align with what has been done before he came in. Probably the APC government worked together. They're harmonizing whatever they have in store for us, and we want to believe that with this trend, we should have better governance.
All right then.
These days.
All right then, Dr. Sadiq, I like to believe that you can hear me now. All right, so I'm going to stay with you, Barrister. Now, the thing is that let's try and break down, the conversation into as many bits as we can. Nigerians don't appear to be enjoying any form of relief because of the removal of subsidy. Now, if anything, most Nigerians are worse off economically. So what is there to celebrate after 1 month, really?
One thing we must come to terms with, the reality is things are not as good as seems to be or seems to look.
Okay.
But we must come to terms that going this route, yes, like they're saying, no pain, no gain. We have seen it. If subsidy still remains, the truth is, we're still going to have a few people benefiting from this subsidy. We're still going to have a few scammers benefiting from this subsidy. We're still going to have a few individuals benefiting from the commonwealth of Nigeria. So yeah,
Okay.
if it has gone, all the money or whatever are basically accruing to themselves is now being spread out to the entire nation. It's not going to look rosy at the beginning.
Okay. Now, but the fact of the matter still remains. What the common man wants to hear is not that, it's gonna let's wait till it gets better. The common man wants to eat now. The common man wants to make use of the little 25,000 or 30,000 that he or she gets, and be able to put food on the table or put biscuits in the bags of their children. But that is difficult right now. There is cost of living has skyrocketed. All right, getting fuel, which is the pain of everything we do here, is on a high. It's on a high. So telling the common man that, look, we have saved this amount of money, some people are not benefiting, they don't want to hear that, really. They don't want to hear that, because how much have we really saved? Who has been saved? The removal of subsidy has not saved Nigerians. We have not started feeling the impact of it. The monies that have been, the monies that have been set aside, where is it going into? Now, don't you think, or before we say subsidy is gone, shouldn't there have been something put in place to cushion the effect that it would have?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you remember from the speech, part of the speech of Mr. President during the June 12, and during June 12, if you remember during this June 12 celebration, some part of the speech he made, he appealed to Nigerians. He appealed to us to be understanding, because he also knows that the suffering is nothing. I mean, to underrate. We know that Nigerians are suffering, and we know that this may also be worse off in temporary time, as we all know it. Yes, Nigerians will not be feeling any relief as we speak. Now, the question is, when was subsidy removed? Mr. President in his inauguration said subsidy is gone. That was May 29. By 2-3 days thereabout, NNPC changed the pump. And we also what happened. And don't forget, NNPC told that as of last year, 2020 thereabout, to date, to the time, the pump price went up. Something that was included in the budget was not paid. So where do you expect them to get money to fund that? So, possibly that is a year thereabout. So this has been there already. And these people need, so all the royalty money that even supposed to go for to federal government, because sometimes people come, they will say NNPC did not remit some money to the government of the federal government. And we are saying, look, even the money, the reality that we're supposed to pay you, we have to then use it to augment for what you are supposed to pay. On subsidy, we know we may not, we will not have the leads down for Nigeria, for the average Nigerian on the road. But I can assure you, if we are serious with this, and if we know what we are doing with this, look at what happened to AG or the diesel. When was they regulated? We were buying diesel at 800 and something at some point, 700 and something at some point. We all know what the price of diesel is today. It has gone as low as 600. So this will happen in this market. And what we are saying is, what we are facing today is temporary. That average man is like you have a family, and all the things that come into your family, and the father at the end of the family is saying, look, we cannot eat all that we have for now. Just be patient with me. There's this project we are doing, is still for the good of the family. When we have our own house, we will stop paying rent. But right now, let us put the house in place, and the money for our excesses, let us keep it to put the house. Of course, the children will not understand. The children want to eat 3 square meters. They want to eat all the side, whatever that comes with all the amenities. They want to enjoy. They want to go travel on vacation. They want to have all. They don't want to understand the grammar you are telling them. But in the end, if you keep to it, by the time you finish the house and the children move into the house, so this is what daddy or mommy, this is what they were doing. We didn't understand. Then everybody comes to enjoy it. Then what they are supposed to be eating at that time now comes to place that everybody will now have access to that 3 square meters.
Now I like this analogy. All right, I love it. I love it. But let me follow this and the analogy that you just gave. Daddy and mommy trying to put their house together, build their own house, so the children are having to portion, their food and abstain from some things. Now, how do you think the children will feel if daddy comes home one day after telling the children that, look, let's cut, let's reduce what we eat. You can't get biscuits, you can't get those drinks that you take to school because we are low on funds now, so we can put our own house in order. All right, using that analogy. And then one day, Daddy comes home with dry cleaners and a whole lot of other people carrying things for him, carrying clothes and things that he got for himself. Now I'm talking about the convoy that the president had when he came into Lagos. A lot of people have talked about the convoy, how it portrayed a little too much affluent. I beg your pardon, a little too much affluence at this time that you're telling Nigerians to sacrifice. And then we saw that convoy, which of course, those vehicles were powered with fuel. Those vehicles, that convoy just told Nigerians that, look, this man may not be feeling what we are feeling, or may not be sacrificing anything. That's on one side. I want to lump these two together. That is on one side. On the other side, while we are still talking about minimum wage being raised, and we're talking about cost of living being adjusted so Nigerians can enjoy a lease of life as subsidy has been removed and every other thing has gone up. Sometime within the 30 days of his first the first month in office, we saw Ramfak come up to say there is a proposal that government, that public office holders and the judiciary should be paid 114% increase in what they already earn, which Nigerians are saying is even on the high side already. That on another side started giving Nigerians the feel that, okay, are we alone in this struggle, or is our leaders now, are they in this struggle with us? Are we going to sacrifice for them to enjoy? What really is in it for us? How do you marry the two now?
All right, thank you for the analogy and the questions. You see, over time, the government has lost the trust of its people. And that is the reason each time the government comes with some policies, or they come with some paperwork to say we want to go this route. Mm-hmm. It's difficult for Nigerians to believe because of what Nigerians see. They do the talk, but the actions, says otherwise. Mm. And that is why Nigerians find it difficult to trust. Now, quickly, let me continue with that ideology of, father bringing some of those things, then the children, they see the things the father brings to the house. I'm like, but Daddy, you told us this, but look at that, you are enjoying, you are doing this. One, that may cost the trust in that house from the children to the father. Mm-hmm. And that is what we have seen over time from the past administrations, with things they tell us, with the policies and all that. Now, but because if you do that, you may lose the trust. But when the children see that even while they are eating, maybe their father is drinking gari, and they still have some bakes, some cakes, rice and all that to eat. Of course, you will see that will build the trust of the children to say, wow, our daddy is really going through hell for us. So let us support him. Mm. This part of the world, that we may not see it today. But I don't know why I have so much hope in this coming administration. I'm sure you've said that to me before, that I believe so much in this administration. And the reason why
we don't have a choice but to believe in the administration. But but what we are saying is right now this is what we are feeling, and we would like for this pain to be alleviated one way or another. But we do believe in the administration. We don't have a choice but to pray for it and believe in it.
I will go into that. Talking about increment in salary, talking about convoy of Mr. President and all that. Yes, in as much as I'm also of the opinion of the school of thought that say that beg or appeal to government or government officials to reduce the cost of governance, particularly on some of unnecessary things. One, that convoy wasn't necessary.
Okay.
And we see that a lot. Even the governors, the president, even the minister. I mean, even when an IG is coming to Lagos, you see, or going somewhere, you see the convoy they go. They fuel all these cars. And I ask, to what end? Okay, let's say this. Maybe sometimes when they move, they don't move alone. Don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
They have some ministers, they have some personal advisors, some special advisors, they have some people they move with them. They are in also their cars. So when you talk about convoy, we need to assess it properly. The number of people that move with these people. But if you are having 20-something cars, even from 15, 20, to me, is not necessary. But they've not told us, because we are still asking these questions. Please explain to us why you really need this number of cars to move with you. There are some people, in fact, the same way you see in some appointments, we heard what Mr. Speaker just did, over 30 appointments to his own office. And I ask, to what end? What do you need that for?
All right then. All right then.
Chief of staff. And I ask, to what end? Why do we need all this? Because this comes to cost in that governance. So they still waste money on unnecessary things. So I will appeal to Mr. President. Well, I will give Mr. President this because this is the first time he's coming to home. He's coming home. And of course, don't forget that convoy that you see in Lagos may not just be Mr. President governor. You know that his son is the governor in Lagos.
His son, okay.
They have provided so much. What do I call it? Security or whatever. They just want to welcome their father, home and all that. Well, maybe I will give it to them. I want to wait to see what happens. Maybe this will be the trend every president, moves around the state, whether federal capital territory or anywhere he goes. Because don't forget, even if they have protocol and that sees into this. So if Mr. Governor of each state decide to put up a carnival for the upcoming of their president, I may not have anything to say to that. All I can say is to appeal to them to say this things are not.
It's a little bit too much. Okay. We do have, I think we've reestablished contact with Dr. Hassan Sadiq, security expert. Good morning once again.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Great. Good to have you. Now, I'm going to start with you the way we started the show by assessing the president's first 30 days in office. What's your assessment of it?
Yes, so far so good. Mr. President has taken the right directions. There's a saying in our African proverb that the dog that will fight lion is from his hand, you notice it. So from the first start, the way his appointment is going, and he's ready to do the job, and he's bringing the experts to do the job. So on this note, we can say yes, the man has started very well. Then secondly, you also see that he has made sure that those who are now the hem of legislature are people that at the end of the day, both executive and legislature are in the same pedestal. Because it's very key to have a legislature that you are in the same pedestal because of certain bill that will be coming to ease the government activities and all that. So I think so far so good. the man has started in a footnote.
All right. Now, in Plateau State, as in other states of the north, headers and Boko Haram, even the Boko Haram, are still having a field day, killing, maiming, looting. How do you assess the president's impact when, impact on security so far? We know he has appointed service chiefs, but the killings, if we can put together a record of it, the killings in the past 1 month are over 200 already in the past 1 month. How do you assess, the president's impact in the area of security, especially in the northern part of Nigeria?
Yes, in terms of security, this insecurity has been there before his handing over and he took over.
Yes,
and he just appointed the service chief, and before he traveled and he's just returned back. In terms of security, once you appointed the service chief, first of all, now when the president returns back, it's going to give them the time to stop these insecurity activities across the country. When you now give them the timeline, then they will be able to come up with a strategy and what it entails to do that within the timeline. In terms of defense security, there must be timeline. So the president, I expected that now that he's coming back, is going to give them a timeline in terms of the insurgency, farmer-settler clash, even oil theft, down to the south-south. So when you give them the timeline, from there they will come up with a strategy vis-a-vis the timeline and what it entails. Once this is structured out, that is when we can now set the security architecture with this also time. Then it is from there we can start assessing the president's security as at when he took over and as at period that he has given them the timeline, what has happened. If you remember in 2014, as soon as President Muhammadu Buhari was sworn in, he said the defense headquarters should locate to Maiduguri at that time, if you remember.
Yes,
and he now gave them the timeline. And you could see that within few months at that time, the issue of Boko Haram moving from one local government to the other within the Borno state were being cut off. So they started reclaiming the land back from Boko Haram enclaves. So the same way, in terms of security, now that he has appointed all the service chiefs, it is now coming to sit down on the table and said, I'm giving you so time. Because in the military operations, there must be a timeline. So it is within that time, they will now be able to come up with a strategy and what it entails within that timeline to be able to go detail into the security, insecurity menace within that area. So in terms of security, this is the way it will go.
All right, so Nigerians will have to wait till the president gives the security chiefs a timeline, and then they will now work within that timeline. But unfortunately, in the meantime, people are dying. Even those in IDP camps are dying. I guess we'll all just have to wait then. Oh well. Let me
interject you.
Go
that
ahead.
does not mean because we are waiting for the timeline, then the security are not working. They are still working. But this is a new administration. This is a new service chief. The new commander has just assumed office. The taking over the security just started. So that does not mean the security are sleeping, they are no longer doing anything. No, that is not the way. But as soon as you appointed a new service chief, you must give them a timeline. That is why I give you an example, what happened in 2015. You could see today we're having a new NSA who is now going to sit down with the service chief, getting their strategy and now coordinate it together and report to the Mr. President. So, but that does not mean the security is sleeping, they are no longer going to do the work. But the essence of the timeline is for us to be able to assess.
Okay.
Because the insecurity has been there. But the timeline now is to go far, that within this time, we don't want to see this again.
All right then, I absolutely get you.
Order.
All right then.
Yes.
Now let's look at economy within the 30 days. How would you assess? I'm going to stay with you and then I'll go to Barrister Olayinka with the same question actually. But let's start with you now, Doctor. Assess the president's impact when in the economy taxes are piling up. Now, there's a 7.5% VAT on diesel. There is a 1,000 naira levy on car owners right now, for proof of ownership. That's aside from every other thing that you pay when you register your car. Now, there's a proposed 40% hike proposed 40% hike in electricity tariff. Fuel is being sold for as much as 1,000 naira in some parts of the country, the northern part especially. And there's a whole lot. So clearly, the president has his hands on the wheel. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes, if you are looking at the economy so far, that is why I said that the step he has taken so far is the right directions. First of all, since he has removed the fuel subsidy, now the government is no longer paying over 400 billion monthly on fuel subsidy, which means that money will now be plugged into some other areas that will now help the activities of the government and down to. Two, yes, you must also look at, I have often over time said that the government need to widen the tax net. What do you mean by tax net? There are other areas that we are supposed to bring into the tax net. In fact, if I have opportunity, I will tell the government to reverse 7.5% to 5%, but to widen the net. Just as you said now, that people, the car owner, are going to pay 1,000 naira. That is a good thing. That when you are a car owner, as at the time now you are going to renew your license, you are going to pay 1,000, which is not there before. Then we think of other
the 1,000 is in addition to whatever you are paying before.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Whatever that 1,000
you think that's a good thing?
Is a welcome ideas, because I've often said several times. I give an example. You are driving SUV. You are driving a Range Rover, you are driving a G-Wagon, while some other people are driving a Toyota. You shouldn't pay the same amount of money, which means the more you have, the more you earn, the more taxes you are supposed to pay. That is why I said I could have even advised the government to reverse back 7.5 to 5%, but widen the net brings others area. If you are having an expensive phone, it should pay higher than those who does not have that, because it means that you are having, you are in the big. Yes, you can't expect what Dangote today is paying when his private jet lands. The same thing.
We have a problem with the quality of your network now. It's frozen and I can't hear you anymore. Oh well, let me come to Barrister Olayinka Ola Daniels now. I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yes. So these are the ways that, yes, the economy will start in this format. Look at our populations. If individual today is paying 50 naira per day, by 30 days, you know how much it will attest to, and this will not go a long way. So to me,
okay.
Coming now is in the right direction. The next thing now we are waiting that will be submitted to the National Assembly and what are going to be their work within the various ministries of the agency, and let us see. But in the economy, there are what I call the long-term economic strategy. The government need to come up with the areas that they are taking as a long-term, and now give the approach. How are you going to address those long-term economic strategy? Because this issue of tax net we are talking now, the issue of 1,000 naira, these are low-hanging fruit.
All right.
You cannot yet still sustain. You must be able to make the critical development which will now hinge on long-term economic strategy. Vis-a-vis, by the time this low-hanging fruit we are going, that will now complement. It is from there, Nigeria as a country, we can now come and say, oh, Nigeria has stood up.
All right then.
And we
okay.
cannot do that. With these also years, this is where Nigeria will be.
All right then. Yes. So let me go to the barrister now. Same question really. 7.5% VAT on diesel, 1,000 naira levy, proof of ownership, proposed 40% hike in electricity tariff, proposed hike in telcos are also proposing a hike in the calls that we make. Fuel is being sold for 600, 700 already, 1,000 in some places, and we now we have Dr. Dr. Sadiq saying that the more you earn, or the bigger the luxurious the luxurious lifestyle you are perceived to live, the more you should pay. I don't know if having a bigger phone translates to having more money in one's accounts really, but salaries are not going up. companies are having to spend a whole lot on fuel to run their businesses, and so companies are even paying lesser now. What is your take on this whole issue at this time?
Well, it's a very dynamic questions. I'm not going to use the word complicated. See, some of these policies, we must understand that they were in place before this particular administration. Now, one, talking about for instance, if I pick electricity, we all know the position of the law, that NEC have the right to increase, and don't forget that if we increase this tariff, it can be increased, it can be reduced, but it depends on the state of the market or what is happening. So now, if it is time for them to increase this, I think they will do their job. And what some Nigerians, what they are saying is this: we don't mind if you increase the tariff of electricity, but please make provision for it. We want electricity. Nigerians are not, in fact, Nigerians are wonderful people that if only their leaders will understand the kind of people they are leading, in fact, they will be the best leader in the world. Why? Nigerians, they have an understanding of how things work. What they are saying is, make provision. For instance, electricity, yes, we understand you need to put in money to get things done, but please provide this electricity. So, but when the electricity is not in place, then you come up every time to increase tariff, to make people pay more for service they don't enjoy or for service they never had. Then what do I call it? That is scam. How do you gain the trust of the people? If what they are paying for, they do not enjoy the services. So Nigerians are ready to pay more if you will give them that service. That is number one on electricity.
All right.
So now, you don't blame Mr. President or the administration for that, because there are processes and there are things that are in place for that to happen. So whether it's another president, whether anybody, NEC will do his job. The acts have given them power to increase or to decide on, okay, whether at this point is to reduce, but we all know that in Nigeria, once things go up,
they don't come back down.
Comes down. So I'm speaking for the average man on the streets. Now, also going by the 1,000 here, the 7.5% over there, and all that, we know, and if you also remember what Mr. President said in his speech, the last speech, if you remember what Mr. President said about multi-tax, the multi-taxation, the multiple tax that Nigerians suffer from the government. Oh, this, that. Oh, we pay so much. Look, like I said, we all know this part of the world, we really don't pay tax. That is why the government now look at every corner to see how they can make sure that you, an average Nigerian, don't have any excuse not to pay tax. So you will pay here, they will pay there. Meanwhile, one person is paying multiple as against the man that is not paying. If only we will do the right thing and pay, then Mr. President has said that all these multiple taxation, they will crumble them. They will look into them. I'm sure that is part of what the advisory, the advisory committee on economy, that is part of their job, that they will look into it and see how some of these things can be brought down. Now, for the 1,000, you raise the 1,000 naira you raise on ownership, proof of ownership. It's not this administration. It's been the same way people were talking about subsidy gone. Yes. Mr. President said subsidy is gone. But do you know that there was no budget for subsidy this year already? As at the last budget that was made, this country, the last administration, it wasn't this. It's not Mr. President that made that budget. It was the last administration that made the budget. And do you know that subsidy was not part of it?
No, subsidy wasn't. Subsidy was up until June.
Thank you.
It was in the budget up until June.
Very well. So,
Okay.
meaning that until June, that means that particular administration had already stopped subsidy.
But then Nigerians, this is still June. We are still in June. We are still in June.
Don't forget the budget. When the budget was being, passed, it covers for the whole year. If you remember, so it wasn't the entire budget didn't stop at June.
The budget for subsidy that stopped
It was
at June.
subsidy that stopped. So that's to tell you that has already been stopped. The same thing applies to number of policies.
Now,
So you don't expect
okay.
Mr. President under a month to do abracadabra, to do magic.
Now it's not. It's a lot of Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians agree with the fact that subsidies should go, but now the question on the table is, what are the measures that you will put in place so we will not feel the impact this much like we're feeling? But let's move away from that conversation now. Let's talk about setting the agenda for the president after the Salah celebration. How do you make your peak? As what do you think the president should do first as he gets back to work? Where should he start from?
Well, I think we are long over waiting for this, and we expect that. For me personally, I think once Mr. President gets back to work, he should relieve the list of the ministers.
Okay.
Let the National Assembly resume in no time, and let them start their own work. Let the minister go. Let him release the list. Let them go for screening. Let all necessary things be done. We don't have that time. We don't have that luxury anymore. So if you have told us that you're starting immediately, so I think the first thing right now is for all his aides, which are the ministers. The list should be out. Let us know who is the minister. Let them go to the National Assembly for the screening, from their approval, and let us move from there. Let work start immediately. Different committees or different parastatals that, for instance, some of the boards being dissolved. Okay. So, we need to start immediately. To start, formulating all the, constituting the board members of different parastatals. Let work start. We have no time to waste at all. So we expect Mr. President, and for me, I'm not in doubt. I'm not in doubt that he knows what he's doing, and I'm not in doubt that when he gets back to work, it will spring into action. I'm not in doubt that we'll do the needful. But I just want Nigerians also to understand that this thing is not rocket science. Because some of us, when we sit at the other side, we are not on that seat, so we don't know how it works. Talk is cheap. We can talk, for outside that seat. We don't see. We are not on that seat. So
the one who wears the shoe knows where it pinches.
To take the processes. Some of these things is to take. The necessary action. So you don't make errors because you are in a rush. Because the people are on your neck and you need to do it now. And you just go ahead and do whatever it is, and then the next thing, people will still shout, then you will come back. I think what doing is what doing well.
All right. Of course, whatever what doing is what doing well, but the people will be on the neck of their leaders because they elected them to put their interest into consideration. Let me come to Dr. Hassan now. Dr. Hassan, let's talk a bit about the cabinet. Priority areas like the candidates. What's your take?
Yes, when you say priority area, yes, there are areas that we can say they are priority, but to me, all is priority. Mr. President should get the best people that are going to send the list to the National Assembly. And I've said this several times, that in confirming the list, this is not the time people should go to National Assembly and you are asking them about their history. If you come and tell us what we don't know, what are you going to improve when you are being passed and you are being appointed as a minister? I'll give you a clear example. In the past government administrations in Nigeria, we give ministerial for the purpose of compensations. Some. To me, it is not now time to compensate anybody with political appointment. You are to give them for the purpose of contribution. So if it is even possible that most of them should go for extraordinary interview before you being appointed, it is a good one. Because there are many things that we can do with that office. But simply because most times the people who have access there has no ideas. And why those who does not have access has ideas. So if it is possible for Mr. President some critical areas, as you said, then Mr. President should have one-on-one with them and kind of size them up in terms of seeing their intellectual capacity. If you have been appointed in this place, what are you going to do differently? These are what we need at this current time. That is why I said it should be people who are coming to contribute, not about compensations. So competency is a key at current situations we are. A minister should not be appointed simply because you are from this region, you are this religion. No,
Okay.
There's nothing like compensations. It should be contributions. So that the right people who know the job, who can sort it, are there. Look, I will tell you about last week we have an event. I said it here that the resources that accrue to Nigeria, we have not actually utilized 10%. Vis-a-vis what we hear today in terms of our land resources, water resources, and human resources. We have not actually utilized 10%. But it is simply because we have not get the people who understand the approaches and the knowledge to utilize all these resources. That is why. What you are thinking, corruptions and all this, to me, is a scrap, it's a peanut than what we have. If we understand what we have today in terms of mineral resources, that is why I said in terms of blue economy, a lot are there, but we need people who are knowledgeable in this area that will bring all this potential for the benefit of all. So Mr. President should make sure people that we are sending to National Assembly, it is not for the purpose of being contributed, for the purpose of contributions, not compensations, so that we can be able to have the right people who will be able to bring about the good governance that we are all hoping to have.
All right then, Barrister Olayinka. Now the question is a similar one. Now the president will have to juggle between getting technocrats and using politicians. Now we have the politicians lobbying. All right, they have access to him. He has people that worked for him to get into office, so he might feel a little obliged to satisfy them. But Nigerians want to see a situation whereby technocrats would be appointed into offices. Now, how do you see him balancing this?
All right. First off, we must understand Mr. President, and we must give kudos to him for one thing he's good at. Getting the right people is what he's been known for and be given credit for, getting the right people to do the job.
Okay.
That you can't take that away from him. So, coming back to the technocrats and the politicians, it has to be a mixed appointment. You cannot totally rule out the politician, because before Mr. President became president, he was a politician. He's still a politician. And it's because he's a politician that made him president. He has a vice president that is also a politician. So they were elected by their parties. By Nigerians, sorry. They were elected by Nigerians.
Nominated by the parties, elected by Nigerians. Go ahead.
Yes, they are elected by Nigerians, but nominated by their parties. Don't forget that. Before things went that route, in fact, maybe before the primaries, or maybe before some of the aspirants in their parties even resolved to step down for him. You do not know some of the agreement they have. You do not know some of the terms they have come to say, okay, oh, you will do this, you will do that. But even among these politicians, you cannot tell me that there are no people among them that can deliver. For instance, Mr. Fashola is a politician. Are you telling me that if you give Mr. Fashola, an office, he cannot deliver? Mr. Fayemi is a politician. Are you saying that if you give him appointment, he cannot deliver? So what I'm saying in essence, we cannot just say technocrats. Yeah, the technocrat will come to work, but let me tell you the truth. They can be frustrated. They can be sabotaged. So you have to meet this is the reality on ground, the reality of the game. Even among the politicians, you cannot tell me that there are people that are not good at this work, that are also technocrat before they became politicians, or they are politicians and at the same time they are technocrat. That, when you give them the work, they can do the work. Mr. Adeshino, yeah, we see him as a technocrat. Don't forget that also he was at some point there were rumors around he was coming. If he are coming to contest an election, for instance, Mr. Oshibaju, that the former vice president, you are telling me if something is given to him to do. I'm just saying that there are people that are politicians that also can deliver.
All right,
Nigerians should not just, technocrat. You know, there's this thing we are very good at. We just speak words and we throw it here and there, and people feel, it has to go this route, it has to go that route. I tell you, this Mr. President knows how to look for people that can work and deliver. And I will not expect anything less from Mr. President when it comes to this. But I think for me, it has to juggle all together. The politicians, they have to just make sure that even when you are picking a politician, that probably you accept you on something, please don't just pick them because they are politicians or because some people say, let this person represent us when the person cannot deliver. That is the part I will not succumb to. Even if you're picking a politician, let him be someone that can do the work. That is my take on that.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Olayinka Ola Daniels. And also, big thanks to Dr. Hassan Sadiq. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for staying with us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into business, sports, and entertainment. Stay with us.